Welcome back. In this video, we'll be focusing on the pickups, and boy do I have lots to say. In my previous video, when I originally assembled this guitar, I mentioned that the original pickups that came with the guitar were actually better than expected, but I still wanted to upgrade them to something better. I spent a lot of time researching all kinds of pickups, different brands, different models, went back and forth on what kind to get, whether I wanted passive or active, humbucker or single coil sound, traditional or noiseless, vintage or hot output, and after a while it just became option paralysis for me. In the end, I decided to stick with a traditional single coil sound, stick with passive pickups with a standard output, and the only new school thing I'd go with is having them noiseless. But that still leaves me with too many options because from what I've seen, almost all tele pickups are passive. In fact, the only active tele pickups out there are EMGs. After all my research, I eventually gravitated towards DiMarzio because their product line for tele pickups is pretty small, so it was easy to distinguish the differences between each of them. The most popular combo when it comes to DiMarzio tele pickups is the Twang King in the neck and the Chopper T in the bridge, which is what Richie Kotzen and so many other YouTubers have, but neither of them fit the category of what I'm looking for. So I ended up choosing the Area T neck. It's their only noiseless neck pickup, and thankfully it has a vintage output. And for the bridge, I decided to go with the Area T615. I wanted my bridge pickup to be noiseless and a traditional single coil sound, but I also wanted it to be a little hotter than your typical vintage output, but not too hot. And this Area T615 was an in-between choice between the Area T and the Area T Hot. DiMarzio describes this T615 as a modern country pickup, one that can both produce serious twang and solid rock, so I'll admit I kind of bought into their marketing fluff. And by the way, in case you're wondering, a little bit trivia, 615 is the area code for Nashville, which is how it relates to this pickup's name. Okay, so here's the Area T neck pickup. Here I am unboxing it, and here I am trying to install it on my pickguard. The screws that came with the pickup were actually much bigger than the holes on the pickup, which is really odd since they're both from the same company, so it was quite a bit of a struggle to screw them in, and I had to use quite a bit of force, hence this took longer than I expected. Unfortunately, this wouldn't be the only time I had encountered this problem. Next came the bridge, but before installing the pickup, I made one additional upgrade to the saddles. In my previous video when I originally assembled this guitar, I mentioned how the saddles were uniform and not compensated, so I could never achieve perfect intonation during setup. So I decided to swap out these stock saddles and replace them with these compensated saddles made of brass. This should result in better intonation, plus the brass should give it a brighter, twangier tone. Switching them out was pretty straightforward, and if you recall in my part 2 video when I took a picture of the old saddles, the reason for that was I needed a reference for where to adjust the new saddles to. This would help save me some time when it comes to setting up my guitar later. Okay, now it's time to install the bridge pickup. Here I am unboxing it, and like the neck pickup, the screws included with this pickup were much bigger than the holes on the pickup. Again, this is strange. But this time, the screws were even bigger, which meant that it was an even bigger challenge installing the pickup to the bridge. Like, a much bigger struggle this time. I can't tell you how much force I had to use. I tried to screw it in, but couldn't even get the pickup halfway through the bridge. So as a quick check, I temporarily unscrewed it from the bridge just to see if I could fit the pickup through the bridge in the first place. And it turns out, the pickup itself has 2 ridges on the side that protrude out, and that's what was preventing the pickup from going all the way through. My guess is because this is a noiseless pickup, and we all know noiseless pickups, even with a traditional single coil sound, are still double coiled, like humbuckers. It's probably 2 different sets of coils, one on the top and one on the bottom. But at least knowing that this exists, I now know why I was struggling so much. I probably tried to force it a little too much that I probably damaged some of the protective cloth on the outside. So in the end, I put the screws back on and attached the pickup to the bridge. I don't have any footage of this, either I ran out of battery or space, or just didn't bother filming it because it's exactly the same as what I showed earlier. And that's it for this video. For these parts that I installed, links are in the description below. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.